Welcome to the Blake Passage in the Skagway Sim, sailing home of the Bandit IF. Now this first video is intended as an introduction to our Art of the Start video series and is intended to provide basic information to those of you who have never raced. We're going to cover what you need to do to prepare for that first race and give you a look at what to expect. We'll also provide information on the basic procedures of this race and give you a look at one way to set up your computer screen to race the Bandit IF. Our goal is to try and make this initial introduction to racing as pleasant and enjoyable as possible. Now the concept of a sailboat race is really pretty simple. Like any race, there's a starting point, a starting signal, a course to be followed, and a finish line. As in just about any other sporting contest, there is an umpire or referee. Now in sailboat racing, this person is known as the race director. They're responsible for setting the course and winds for the race, and in general keeping the event operating on an even keel. The race director is also the judge and jury should any disputes arise about the conduct of the race. Now while it may seem pretty freewheeling chaotic, the whole process is governed by a set of rules that, while fairly simple, do require a bit of work to master. Now these rules deal mainly with what is called right-of-way, and these will be discussed in great detail in the Art of the Start videos. So what do we need to do before that first race? Well, first of all, you do need to have a reasonable mastery of the basic skills of sailing your boat. Take some time to learn how to maneuver, how to set the sails, and even how to navigate from point to point. If you need help with that, we'll have videos posted that will explain the really basic steps of learning to sail. While you are learning to handle your boat, by all means come down to our races and just watch and ask questions. If there's sailors around, let it be known that you're interested. See if you can ride along during a practice run. Prior to the race, you'll need to come down to Sliff and download the course maps. There are several map vendors that will provide these maps for you. Let's look at one of our maps and see how you interpret the information for the course. Now here's the course map for our race course number 3. On the left side is a narrative that describes the course, and on the right is a map of the course. Now race courses use a combination of gates, buoys, and islands or other landmarks as points along the race. In the race description, CW means clockwise, which means that you sail so that the buoy or landmark passes on the right side of your boat. CCW means counterclockwise, which means that you sail so that the buoy or landmark passes to the left side of your boat. Now an example of a gate are the start and finish lines. It is basically an opening between two marker buoys that define the gate. Now the other points in the course are either marker buoys or islands. Let's take a look at the next point, which happens to be an island. Now from the course description on the left, you can see that we pass in a clockwise direction, and that means the island is going to pass on our right side. There will be a navigation reference point, which is located in the Tongass Sim and is at the coordinates shown. Now this navigation point is strictly a reference, since we can go as close to or as far away from the island as we wish. The only requirement is to pass it in the direction indicated. The next point on the race happens to be a marker buoy, and it's handled very similar as an island. Now in this point we pass the buoy counterclockwise, which means we are going to pass with the buoy to our left. We are not required to turn immediately at the buoy for the next point. In fact, we can sail past anywhere along this channel, and depending on wind, traffic, or direction to the next mark, the course is our discretion. The only requirement is you must pass so that the marker buoy passes on your left side. Since we're on the subject of maps, let's look at what we can use to help us navigate around the course. To navigate, you're going to need to become familiar with the mini-map. Keystroke shortcut of Control plus Shift plus M cycles this map on and off. Let's take a look in an expanded view. Now you can zoom in by using the scroll wheel on your mouse to adjust the level of detail. There are some other settings that I recommend to make the map functional. Right-click on the mini-map and make the following selections: Rotate Map, auto center, and chat distance ring. Now it's also nice to have a clean display of the sim boundaries. Do that by selecting Show Property Lines. This not only shows the parcels, but also a very accurate display of the sim boundaries and helps you to avoid those dreaded sim corner crossings. Now, I mentioned earlier that our map vendors include not only the course map, but also a note card that is formatted for the USB nav system. USB stands for Ultimate Sailing Buddy, and it's available for sale on the marketplace. Now, there is also a free version that is perfectly adequate for the beginning racer. Simply take the note card with the race data and drag and drop it onto the nav unit. Then with your mouse, you click on Load and select the course you're going to sail. Now let's look at the mini-map, and you're going to see a red donut displayed. This is the waypoint that is active in the nav unit. As you pass the waypoint, the unit automatically loads and displays the next waypoint in the race course. Now I'm going to manually advance this so that you can see how it changes. Now once you are within range, you will also get a red column and shows the distance remaining to the point in meters on your screen. It's a very handy device for navigating during a race, and there's an excellent video on how to set up and use this. Just look for the link on the USB Marketplace listing. Now that we have an idea of how to navigate the course, let's take a look at where the race actually starts, and then we'll talk about setting up for the first race. Now this is the race line at the Skagway Sim. On the right side you will see a green buoy. On the left side is a reddish-orange buoy. The blue line that stretches between these two marks is the actual start line. Now we talked briefly about gates in our discussion of the course maps. You must pass through this gate without making contact with either of the buoys. The start gate also serves as the finish gate at the end of the race. Above the start line is the countdown timer. You'll notice that it is set for a -3 minutes. Now this 3 minutes is the time set by the race director during which boats will maneuver for the actual start of the race. The race starts when the timer reaches 0 and the starting horn sounds. You want to maneuver so that you cross the starting line as soon as possible after the horn sounds, but not before, or you'll have to circle back and cross the start line again. About 15 minutes prior to the race director will set the winds for the race, and they will be broadcast. These are broadcast by wind setter buoys, which happens to be the little orange buoy you see to the left of the start line. This makes sure that all the racers are using the same wind for the race. To acquire these winds, it's necessary to be within the shout chat range of the start line, and you simply type the word racing in nearby chat and hit the enter or the return key. This loads the winds onto your boat, and it also sends a message to the race director that you have acquired the race winds. You're not allowed to change these winds, and the director receives the message if you leave the race winds, and you'll be disqualified from the race. Now be aware that the race director has the ability to change the winds along the course with other wind setter buoys, so always be on the lookout for shifts in the wind. As the start time approaches, the race director will announce ready call. Each skipper will respond in nearby chat by shouting ready. Now it's just a matter of sitting back and waiting for the race director to start the timer. Once the timer starts, you're required to raise your sails and continue sailing until the finish of the race. You must move under sail power only, no motors, and no editing of your boat to get yourself out of a bad spot. Again, the race starts when the timer reaches 0. Simply cross the start line, navigate the course as we've shown on the map, and pass back through the start line in the opposite direction to finish the race. Let's take a look at one way to set up your screen to manage the Bandit IF. Now there are lots of options and all of them are personal preference, but I'll show you what I do and why. First of all, I put all of the devices at the top of the screen. Now I do this because the camera angle back to the Bandit is really optimized for the bottom of your screen, and it's difficult to view this if it's blocked by the heads-up displays. On the right side I have the USB Pro, which is a navigation unit but also includes an integrated timer. If you do not see zeros in this box, it means that the device is not armed to receive the countdown signal. Simply click on the checkered flag, the zeros will be displayed, and now the countdown timer is armed. In the navigation portion of the unit, I have the desired race course selected. I check that the donut is displayed on the mini-map and that I can see the red column on my computer screen. In the middle is the Bandit IF heads-up display. Now with this you can select and trim the sails and hike the avatar left and right. Check the instructions included with your boat for further details on how to operate this HUD. So in the upper left I put a countdown timer that is provided free by the Second Life Sailing Association. It picks up the countdown start signal from the race line and automatically starts to count down in seconds remaining. And yes, I consider the screen displayed countdown to be so essential during the start that I do like to have a backup. I display the mini-map on the left side and put it far enough up the screen so that messages that will be displayed in nearby chat, like instructions from the race director or even changes in the race wind, will not be covered up by the map. Now normally the race director starts the countdown timer, but I'm going to start it so you can see how the timers work. Once the timer starts, you raise your sails and the pre-start maneuvering is underway. Well, I just couldn't resist the hat. I guess I have to have a little bit of fun. Thanks for watching. Until next time, fair winds, calm seas.
Happy trails to you until